Hello my friend, thanks for clicking on this video, and here I am with another video. Yesterday I made this video live and I made it 100% in Spanish. Why do I made it in Spanish? Well, because it is easier for me to do it in Spanish. That's the reason number one. And number two is because I have to watch the chat during that moment because it is live. And then I had to watch the Wi-Fi signal. I had so many things to watch on that moment. So that's why I decided to make it in Spanish. But here I am, guys, to explain you what exactly I did on that video. Even sometime before I made them on English and Spanish when I am online, but I made them on Spanish yesterday. But that is not a big deal. Here I am to explain you. So before to jump in that video, I want to explain you this. I want to talk about this. You know, if you have been doing car interior for, you might have noticed that there are some classic car. It is not necessarily a classic car. Some seat, even door panel, even headliner, that it have a piping right. I'm gonna change the color right there. Some seat have piping right here. Right here, this is just an idea. Have a piping all the way right here, and that piping come to right here, come to right here, come to right here. If you have been doing car interior for a long time, you know all that process. But if you never done something like this before, you might ask how that piping is sewn into those panels, the outside pieces. Well, it is easy. You're just going to sew underneath this piece. Of course, before that, you have to draw a mark. You have to draw a line on this area right here, and put the piping under those marks, and just put like an extra material behind. But you put in an extra material behind and put a top stitch right here, all around right here, same thing right here. This will create a bump, a small bump in there, and that look nice. Plus under that, you will add like a quarter of an inch and or half-inch thickness font, all right here. Can be half, can be 1/4 thickness font. Look nice, but on this video, I am not going to show you that. I'm going to show you how you can just let me change the color right here. How you can add a piping on this panel. I only going to show you how you can add a piping in there, and that piping will be a different color and will be a straight right there. That's what I'm going to show you on this video. That's what I did on YouTube Live yesterday, and that process is easier. Let's got to see all the process, and I will telling you what exactly I was doing in there. A college who is learning about upholstery asked me about this, if I can make a video related to this process. Add an accent in the center. You know, to add a accent in there, different column in there, look nice, but you have to know how to do it. Because if you add the center piece, you see it's a different color. It is 1 inch wide. If that piece is too wide, like the way I see it, it is not good. That piece, it has to be I would say ½ inch or less than that. All depends how big it is, the insert, the face of the seat too. Keep those things in mind, because if you are doing, let's say you are doing a seat that it has 54 by 24, and you add just 1 inch in there, you can add more. You can add 2 inches of accent in there, and will look nice too. Because why? Because that piece is small, and because that piece is big, the insert is big. But in this case, let's say this insert will be a 12 inches wide by 24 by 26. This it is easier if you just can sew the vinyl together, and they just put glue and sew it onto and glue it onto the phone like that. You don't have to sew that piece into the phone, and you can notice right there that the stitch is only on the vinyl. You didn't see the stitch going through the phone. You can see them on there. So it's 1 inch. But I will show you how you can put a piping on the center. You see, not a stitch in there. See, that's the way I saw it. It's easier. This is one way how you can do it, and you can sew in those red pieces with foam, and then sew in that white piece with foam, and then they sew it together. There's another way. But on this video, you see that small piece in there. That looked cool. To me, I like it. So how you notice that like accent on the new car, 2018, 2019, are coming like that. And that thread, the rest of the thread, in case if you have a top stitch, is the same color of that accent material, of that center material. Well, to do this, my friend, it is not hard. It is easier. You just have to cut the foam like always. Whatever the side of the insert it is, you just have to draw a line on the center. I already draw the line in there. That is a piping. It's 1/8. 1/8 thickness, and what happens if you add it like 1/4 thickness? If you add 1/4 thickness, it's gonna look good, but I don't recommend you to do that. The bump is coming on the outside too, and you can see it right there. I want the bump only right there. I want to see it right there. So to do that, you can do it in 2 ways. You can put a plastic in the back, or you can put I'm going to use a canvas material in there, something hard in there, because I want the back flat, plain. So that's what I'm adding this material in there. This is one way how you can do it. That piece of foam is 14 inches. So that material is on there. It's a strong material. Now I'm going to put this piping in there. How do I going to put this piping in there? Well, just with glue. Going to glue into the foam and put glue. And you have to put glue on the foam too. I am putting glue in there, just enough to hold the piping. And it has to be straight. If you don't put them straight, it's not going to, you're going to sew it like, the stitch is going to follow that piping. If the piping is not straight, the stitch is not going to come in straight. So keep in mind that there is the piping. It's hard to see it. So now here I got the material that I'm going to put it as an accent. This is like odd white. And this piece can be, I'm going to cut it 1.5 inches. You can cut it 2 inches. I done cutting that piece, so now I will draw a line on the center. This line, it is not necessary, just going to draw a line that way you can see it. If you're doing car interior a lot and you are an expert doing this, you know this line, it is not necessary. So I'm going to put glue on that vinyl. That can be leather, can be vinyl. And make sure to put the material exactly on the center. And there it is. Okay, right there, have a canvas material, have a half inch have a piping and it have 1.5 inch piece of vinyl. The width of that accent can be 1/2 inch. I prefer a 1/2 inch. It look nice with 1/2 inch. 1 inch, all depend how big it's gonna be the insert. But I'm going to make this a 1/2 inch width. And there is. So next I'm going to cut the material that is going to be on the side. And I'm going to use this. This is a red vinyl. And that piece is gonna be 7 inch width. And I'm going to draw a line 1/2 inch. That line, it is not necessary to, but I just draw it in there, that way you can see it. What is the point of drawing that line? Is the stitch going to be exactly on top of that line. You know, that's why I have to keep my eyes watching the chat and watching the Wi-Fi, watching reading comments, because some people ask me during that process, and that's what I am watching there. And I'm doing the same thing with the other side. Half inch, I draw a line 1/2 inch away from that mark. And I cut it. Because this is just an idea, just going to put the other piece on the top, and then I'm going to draw a line right there. It's just an idea. And I cut it. That can be vinyl, can be leather, can be fabric. Sometimes on fabric it doesn't look, all depend the color, but I prefer doing on vinyl or leather because it looks nice. So now I'm going to take these two pieces to the sewing machine and sew it together. And here is the machine. Like always, I always mention to check the machine and make sure it's sewing good, because you don't want any skip, any break in there. I'm going to use the 1/4 foot press foot, and I'm going to use an old one. This is a new one. This is the kind that I'm going to use. It is on there. You can use a 1/8. It's good too. And this is the thing. I have to make sure to put that mark on top of the mark that is under on the white vinyl. I have to make sure to do that. To do this require a little bit of skill, a little bit using the sewing machine. Because if you don't pay close attention, my friend, if you run to this, you can go on top of that piping, and you don't want that. You need to be like at least 1/8 away. The stitch has to be 1/8 away from that piping, and it's one is sewing on there. It's hard to see it, but the piping is 1/8. And you can see it. I'm going to sew the other piece. And this is a small piece. This is not hard. When it's a big piece, you have to spend some time to do it right. And same thing as before, go slow, make sure to one mark is on top of the other mark. And I put those pieces together. It's hard to tell right now the width of that accent material in there because I had to put a top stitch, and that top stitch can be the same color of that accent in there. So it can be 1/8 away or 1/4 away. I prefer, because this is now more than ½ inch, more than 1 inch, I prefer doing 1/8. That is, top stitch is 1/8 inch. And I'm going to show you right now. You see that inside in there? I use that as a guide, as a reference. If I use the outside as a reference, that would be 1/4 of an inch. And I just go sewing on top. I am using a regular presser foot. It doesn't have a guide, nothing at all. That's what I say. If you are doing this with a guide, accessory for the top stitch, you have to have like some skill. But remember, if you don't practice it, you never will get the skill. It's all about practicing. I done putting those top stitch, and let's see it now. I'm gonna take it to the table. And there is the stitch behind. And here is the stitch on top. And you can see that different color in there. And I just put glue in there. Do not put glue in there because you will notice through the vinyl that bump in there. Don't put glue in there. Just put glue 1 inch away from that stitch. And I put glue on the other side. And I'm going to square this piece of vinyl. And there is, my friend. That is just an idea. It is the centerpiece. On the big piece, it have a material behind, and on this one it don't. It barely can see on that little piece, but on this one you can see it more. But believe me, you don't want that bump to be over the red material. No, it is not good. It's not going to last for longer, and you don't want that to happen. You want that insert to last for longer. So that's why that piping, I don't recommend it to be more than 1/8. If you add like 1/4 of an inch piping, the bump is gonna be too big. And imagine if you're a person, like let's say for a Uber or taxis, that is not going to last for longer. So That's my advice, but I said to you, this is just an idea. A guy, a colleague asked me for something like this, how to do it, and with this video I am showing him how he can do it. The process it is not hard. Of course, if you've never done something like this or you don't have experience, this would be a nightmare for you. Believe me, you have to have, like I say, some skill using the sewing machine. That's all. If you don't have some skill using the sewing machine, or you don't have a practice, this will be hard for you. That will be the hardest part. First, learning how to use the sewing machine, cut them and measuring those pieces. That's a piece of cake. It's not a big deal. So this video was about how you can add an accent, color accent to the insert. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.